memory, I remember being carefully lifted onto a stretcher. The feeling of being carried was strange, a passive experience where I had no control. I saw the worried faces of other students peering out of classroom windows as we passed. In the nurse's office, the bright fluorescent lights felt harsh and painful. She continued her assessment, checking my pupils and cleaning the gash on my head. Each touch sent waves of pain through my skull. It was here that the true severity of the situation began to sink in. This was not just a simple cut. This was something far more serious. My parents were called. The thought of them hearing this news filled me with a new kind of dread. My mother had faced a serious health crisis a few years earlier. Our family had just finished rebuilding our sense of normalcy after that difficult time. We had developed systems and routines to support her recovery and maintain our family's stability. Now, I was the one at the center of a medical emergency. I knew the fear they would feel. As I lay on the cot, waiting for the paramedics, I felt a deep sense of guilt, as if I had somehow failed them by getting hurt. I was about to disrupt the fragile peace we had worked so hard to build. The wail of the ambulance siren grew louder, a sound that marked the official transition from a school incident to a serious medical crisis. When the paramedics arrived, they moved with practiced efficiency. They asked questions, attached monitors, and secured me to a backboard. The trip to the hospital was a dizzying ride. I remember my parents arriving just as I was being loaded into the ambulance. The look on my mother's face was a painful mix of terror and steely resolve. My father was quiet, his jaw set, but his eyes showed a deep, primal fear. Seeing their faces was harder than any physical pain I was feeling. It was a stark reminder of how our lives are all interconnected. At the hospital, everything became a whirlwind of doctors, nurses, and medical jargon. I was rushed into the emergency room. They cut off my PE uniform. More questions, more tests. A CT scan was ordered. I remember the cold, sterile feeling of the machine as it scanned my head. The doctors spoke in low, serious tones. I couldn't understand all their words, but I understood the gravity in their voices. They were trying to determine the extent of the damage inside my skull. This was the point of no return. The results of this single scan would define the next chapter of my life. I just lay there, a passive participant in my own fate. The diagnosis was severe. I had a fractured skull and a significant brain bleed. The pressure inside my head was building to a dangerous level, and I needed emergency surgery. I remember a doctor explaining this to my parents. I saw my mother's composure finally break. My father held her, his own strength a pillar for her to lean on. The last thing I remember clearly is being wheeled toward the operating room. I looked at my parents one last time, trying to give them a reassuring look I did not feel. Then the anesthesia took hold.